and welcome to Oye Cinema Club. My name is Marina, aka Dignified Couch Potato. And tonight we are going to be reviewing one of my favorites, Radio Flyer from 1992. But I'm not alone. Tonight I have with me some of my favorite amigos, Steve Jazz and Jason Eccles. I picked this movie because Steve had picked a couple movies from like his past that like made an impact on him, more in like a funny way. But I was like, you know what? Let me do something that was a little bit more emotional to me and see how I feel and like discuss it with other thespians. So I picked Radio Flyer. But let's dive into first impressions. Let's start with Steve.
I did not know I was gonna go first, but first impressions. Let me just say that this movie was hard for me to watch, and not in the ways that you would think of. It was more of like it was tough for me. First of all, I never heard of this movie in my life. First time watching it,
Mm.
uh, but it was difficult for me to suspend my disbelief that a very young Elijah Wood grew up to become a Tom Hanks. That is something that I'm like, what happened to his eyes? They does he wear eye contacts later, or like what it did, like the color of his eye? So so there's many things that about this film, maybe because I'm watching it with like 2025 eyes, and I get what they were sort of kind of trying to do then. That I'm just like, oh, there's some things that I'm like, I'm even quite like, for example, kissing a child actor. Like, I was just like, whoa, in the mouth, whoa, that's not your kid for real. Um, there were certain things about the film, and I know Marina laughing. There are certain things in the film that I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Um, like so because the kids send a postcard, they just stop searching for him. Like there are many things about I ended up having more questions than answers with this film.
Sure.
And I guess because it's also marketed, I get it's a family film. I get it. So you don't want to make it too violent. But to me, especially again, looking at it with 2025 eyes, if I was a kid watching this, I'll be like, oh my God, the monster and all this stuff, right? But like watching it with 2025 eyes, I kind of had, again, I'm not inciting at all domestic violence whatsoever. That's terrible. That's bad. We can all be on board with that. But I can side a little bit with the dude, like, yo, these kids are just constantly just doing out of
Get
yeah,
out of here.
they're just putting cables in the oven, they poop like on the house. Like, come on, like we gotta do something, at least, slap the dog a little bit. So like to tell them, I don't know about that, but like, to tell the kids like, yo, come on, y'all. Like you guys, you put me to jail twice. Twice? Come on, man. Anyways, yeah, and also like these kids were like I never saw these kids as second in school, and they just become engineers. Like there's a lot of suspending my disbelief in this movie that I was just like, okay, if I was a young kid with a big imagination, I would have been like, this movie's amazing. I did like the fact that the movie ended with like, hey, if something's happening, here's a number. I don't know if the number actually works, so they probably gotta update that and put a website or something or an app to download. But yeah, that's my first impression.
Somebody's
Okay.
got to call that number.
Well, thank you, Steve. I do feel like Tom Hanks did say, it's all in the eye of the person living in it. So I think that's a key point. We'll dive into that later. But Jason, what was your first impression?
Oh wow. So I've seen this movie a whole bunch when I was a kid. This was a favorite after I seen it. It's weird because like I really haven't seen this movie since I was a kid. And I used to watch it like a whole lot. And I kind of remember thinking like I watched it when I was younger, but then I see that it came out in 92. So I'm like, I had to be like at least in fifth grade when this came out, which means it wouldn't have hit video at least until like a year or more later, because that's how that worked back then. So I just kind of remember seeing it. What I remember feeling like I've seen it, and I know I probably saw it on cable, honestly. So I don't know, man. It's like the time in my head is really messed up when I could have possibly seen this thing. But um, I really like this movie. I was kind of afraid when I saw that this was the pick. Like, oh man, like this is a kids movie. And then I like remembered, like as I was getting ready to watch it, like, oh no, wait, there's like abuse in this thing, and I was like, I wonder how this thing's gonna hold up. But I remember Elijah Wood implicitly in this movie because even as a kid and like having no understanding of like Hollywood or actors or anything, Elijah Wood became a movie star to me after I saw this movie. Like he was instantly recognizable in anything he would have ever done for the rest of his life. He really stood out as being just a terrific young, man actor in this thing. He was so good. Everybody's really good in this thing. And like now watching it as an adult, I can see all the actors in it that like are famous, and I've seen him in other things like The Mom and Tom Hanks. Like Tom Hanks, I forgot Tom Hanks was in it. I only half remembered that he was a narrator. I remember thinking like there was really good narration in this movie. I just totally forgot that it was Tom Hanks. And then when Tom Hanks is in the beginning of the movie, I'm like, wait, Tom Hanks is in this? Oh crap, this is his story. Holy crap. So that was kind of cool. That was kind of awesome. I guess I also had never realized how much time they spent hiding the face of the king throughout this thing. Like he's just sort of faceless through most of the movie, right? Which was kind of interesting choice. Like abuse has no face. I also thought about the kids that were like abusing or the bullies or whatever. I'm like, are all those kids like Mexican? Like all these dark hair kids? Like did they choose
Bro,
Mexicans to beat up
don't
the white
don't
kids?
don't get me started on that because that's something I forgot to mention. I was like, wait. They're making the bad kids Latinos, and
Never
then
even noticed it the first time I saw it. Like of
and
any of
then
the times I saw it as a kid, I'd never registered.
and then there were minorities also with them. Like there were a couple black kids, and then they were serving the white boys that were there. I was just like, whoa, what's going
Yep,
on here? I see
yep.
the I see the little messaging here.
It sort of felt like it. Not gonna lie. Um, but all in all, this is still such a great movie, man. And it's even sadder than I remember as a kid. I guess like it would have to be like as an adult because like as a kid, you're rooting for the kid and you feel bad and like thank God I was never like beat up by an adult as a kid or anything like that. But all my beatings from adults happened when I was already an adult. So I don't know if that's child abuse. Felt like it. I'm just kidding. I,
Sorry.
yeah, sorry, my bad. That was bad. Uh, I don't know, man. Like it's really kind of hard to like really put my thumb on this thing because it is a good movie, and I really like the ending. I like how ambiguous it is, but also the whole time as a kid, I just remember feeling like, yeah, he died. It's ambiguous this way for a reason. I mean, clearly he didn't fly away in a plane. That's just like a coping mechanism or something for Elijah Wood, the brother, Mike. Um, that's just the way he kind of chose to remember his brother, I think. But then I did look up something. Just as a part of my initial thought, I'll say that I looked up. This was a book first, and the writer wrote that Bobby became an engineer, an airplane engineer, aeronautical engineer. So Bobby absolutely survives in the book because he has a adult job. Um, yeah, those are my initial thoughts. So I will say this movie did hold up for me. It's really good. I would like to see what kids think of it today, but to me, it seems like kind of a timeless story about being a kid. And I mean, a lot of that's in the narration too, because he's like, he keeps saying stuff like all kids, we felt this. And as a kid, this is how a cape works, or whatever his little antidote was about being a kid, and like the wonders and magic and imagination, like to be a child, and like how beautiful that is. um I will say this though, I don't like, and I couldn't really understand, I sort of understood like why they were protecting the stepdad from, like, or why were they not telling on the stepdad, you know what I mean? Like, that really kind of ticked me off a little bit, because I'm like, man, tell him this son of a bitch so like y'all can get away from him. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, I guess they were looking out because their mom was like finally happy, and they wanted her to like be happy. It was kind of like a selfless act at the same time. It's just a lot, and I'm sure kids have done that, but it just yeah, it was kind of rough in that regard, because I kept thinking like, how can they get the fuck out of here? How can we save Bobby on this time watching the movie? I don't know. But I do like this movie. I think it's a classic. I think also, all like I said, all the stars from the '90s that pop up in this thing, that was really cool. And it just seen a lot of the adult roles that I just completely overlooked the first time. This time around was really cool.
I'm muted, but awesome. Yeah, thank you for diving in on that. So for me, this was also very similar to Jason. Like, I had this came out in '92. Definitely wasn't watching in '92. I was one gang gang, and so maybe like I think my first recollection of this was VHS, and maybe when I was like 7 or 8 years old, the first time I saw it. Probably not the best time to watch a movie about this kind of content, and then I maybe watched it again when I was, like, 11 or 12. But, like, I unfortunately grew up in, like, really interesting scenarios, so I gravitated towards the movie because it was relatable for me, like a child that's not being protected by the mother, whether it's intentional or not intentional, like, it just was, like it always stuck with me, and then I was very curious since we started like picking movies based on nostalgia, how I would feel watching this movie as an adult. And oh my gosh, like even knowing the plot, I cried so much watching this because now I'm an adult with a child to protect. And I just feel like it just hit me so hard. And like, yeah, there's unrealistic things, but like, and you definitely, I spot them more like as a kid. I don't think I dove that deep into like how unrealistic the ending was. But like, as an adult, I was just like, this is probably how they cope. They pretend, and somebody's probably writing a fake letter or whatever. And it was just intense. Like I really enjoyed rewatching it and just like seeing it through a lens of a mature person. Yeah, some things have obviously aged out, but I still like the feeling of it. But I will say that I don't think I noticed as a kid that like the bullies were minorities. So like let's chill out with that. Like it was just they were the most innocent looking children and they made them villains, but go off, Tom Hanks, go off. It was just like, oh man, why are they the scary ones? I don't know. But um but overall it was really, really cool to watch it again. And just from a more mature lens. Still sad no matter what, but obviously as an adult living in the future where this is a movie from the '90s, some things probably didn't age appropriately. But I still overall was pretty cool to rewatch this. Um, but yeah, like aside from like the things that are just a little like, yeah, maybe we could have written that a little differently. I still had a good time. Um, so let's talk about our favorite scene. Even though we obviously all are living in modern times and there's some scenes that aren't like necessarily could be written to this day. Let's talk about the scenes we did like. Does anybody have a scene that like stands out to them and was either well acted or well written?
Yeah, if I'm just gonna barrel through. The scene that really stood out to me, probably then and now, really gets me when he's like, playing the game, the football game with the kids at the end, and he's just like, you know, trying to power through like this really terrible situation, but also as a kid, maybe he didn't see it as a terrible situation, but he's like triumphant, in it. Yeah, that gets me. I mean, I guess that's sort of like that's kind of like part of the climax of the movie as well, from like a kid's eyes. But I think that's really well done. I think it's really well written, and it felt real. It felt like this is a thing that happened. I felt like maybe that happened to me as a kid. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was to me. I think that's one of the more. I don't know if that's the most powerful scene, but like from a kid's perspective, I think that's one of the most powerful scenes in the
Yeah, for sure. Like, funny enough, like when I used to watch the first when I was watching this, it was VHS, and I remember being like genuinely bored at like those interludes. I didn't know who Tom Hanks was. If you guys
movie.
don't get back to the story with the children, I don't care what's going on in this airport with this man and his kids. Like, I was just like, it was, I think, like as an adult, like I had more of an appreciation for the scenes with Tom Hanks. Whereas when I watched this as a child, I couldn't wait for the scenes with Tom Hanks to end so I can get back to the actual movie. Like, so it was just kind of funny, like enjoying him, enjoying his interpretation, enjoying his explanations. Whereas when I was a kid, I was like, are you done? I'm trying to see if they build this freaking radio fire and go up the hill. So yeah, definitely, I definitely agree those scenes were powerful with his kids. What about you, Steve?
The scene where it ends and no, I'm kidding. Um, uh, there's two scenes that may pass by as like they might just pass by and like people will not mention them or focus on them, but like the very first scene that I was like, oh my god, the level of use of this house has levels, was when they discovered the turtle and it has a chain. I was like, yo, what? Like, I legit was like, yo, this better be fake because I'm about to protest. I'm about to go to Hollywood with a sign going like, remember Radio Flyer from back in the day?
That turtle probably is still alive, by the way.
Peter, Peter.
Crazy. And then the scene where like and legit like I'm not like the acting overall in this movie is good, is great. But at least the scene that made me feel something. And this is an actor that I personally don't know. You guys might know who he is or something. But the guy that plays the cop, essentially the cop, when he's talking to the kids and he realizes, hey, is there something happening to you guys? Like legit, that was like the moment that I'm like, whoa, that was
That's
real.
the dad from Home Alone.
100%, Steve. How do you not know Mr. McAllister? Whatever his name
Oh,
is.
I wasn't
Cruel.
paying attention, I guess, to recognize him. Also, also the dad from Home Alone is like barely in scenes. He's like almost a deadbeat dad.
Maybe I was looking at him different because I'm like, he has money. He can take everybody out of the country with cash in his pocket.
You pay attention to pay attention to. No, but like yeah, those two scenes to me, the turtle, and then I like turtles, and then the policeman with the kids in front of the trashed house. Uh, yeah. And by the time they made that potion, whatever thing, which is subsequent to this scene, like I was like, yeah, if I was your stepfather, like, come on, I'll be like,
There's no reason to beat these children. And then
I'm not
again, oh,
condoning that, saying that. I'm just saying, like, I'll be pretty pissed off without having to drink alcohol in my garage.
but like, so I mean, I get it. They were adventurous, but like at the end of the day, like only disciplining one child and then like in it being brought on by alcohol, I feel like that's the bigger issue, right? Like, yeah, you need to teach lessons to the people that you're raising and things, but like at the end of the day, whether they blew up the oven or not, he was gonna beat them. So
So I was wondering about that too. Is there any indication why he really, had it out for Bobby?
there isn't, but like, not to dive in too deep for our YouTube following, it doesn't work like that. There's no logic. A narcissist abuser decides to hurt someone and they may not hurt other people. Like my narcissist abuser was a saint to so many people. People were hungry, they provided groceries. Like there's no math to it. And I do love that this movie touches on that. Like if there's no reason for him to only hurt Bobby and not hurt the other one. But when push came to shove, he hurt them both. But a lot of times an abusive person picks one person so that nobody will believe them.
Hmm.
They pick one person so everyone's like, that guy, he's so cool. He's so chill. Why would he or why would she do that? That doesn't that doesn't make sense. Not him. He's a cool
Right.
guy. And I've always appreciated about this movie because a lot of times when you watch like certain movies, like it's a mean person who's just like mean to everybody. But in reality, a true abusive narcissist picks a victim that won't no one will believe. And I mean, that's just the way it works. It's subconscious. That's how you want to keep living your life and taking out your trauma on one person. So I've always found that interesting. And as a child, I understand why I gravitated to it. But as an adult, it was so interesting to watch the perspective and be like, man, this was really captured well. Like, because it doesn't make sense. You're like, man, why is he only hitting Bobby? Why is he not hitting the other kid? That doesn't make, but it doesn't make sense. But it's in actuality, it's the most realistic interpretation of child abuse. So it was written before its time, but I truly appreciate how it was written. But yeah, but long story short, favorite scenes for me when I was a kid, I really liked the Ouija board scene.
Hmm.
I did. I was like, oh, look at them like making this thing and whatever. But this time around, again, I gotta go back to like the Tom Hanks um narrations. Like just like hearing those little moments where it's like just don't forget, this is just an interpretation of a child, and like it just took a different gravity for me, and I definitely like appreciated those moments more, where in reality when I was little I was like, let's get back to the plot. I want to see if they build what they have to build and get to the top of the hill and all that stuff. So I maybe it's me being a parent or whatever, but I definitely appreciated those father son moments a lot this time around.
Also, also, I want to mention because it just came to my mind the scenes with the buffalo.
if there
It's
is
not
any
every day to see a buffalo in a movie. Let's be honest.
if there is anything consistent with the young person that watched it and the adult person, why the like why I mean I get it. It's a fantasy, it's a thought, it's like making like the situation more humorous, but I could have done without their field trip to the Buffalo Saloon and the flashbacks about it. Like, I don't know. What did you like about it? Because I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to say I absolutely loved the trip to the Buffalo Saloon. I didn't even remember that. One, like as an adult, I've learned to really love road trips. So the fact that they stop off at this like off the beaten path sort of highway exit spot to go see this buffalo, like that just feels like Americana to me. That just feels like what people did, crossing the country, especially in the '60s, for God's sakes. And then I never noticed the Buffalo Bill character, or whatever his name is. I never really noticed him before, but he reminded me of an old acting teacher, the one that I told you guys a story about recently. Um, I thought that actor was absolutely terrific. He's honestly like, this is going to sound weird. He's honestly like probably my favorite character in the movie. I know we haven't gotten to that, or if you were going to ask that question, but I thought that guy was so good in such a short amount of time. And it touched my heart right away to see him give this single mom who doesn't have any money, they're in the middle of nowhere America. And here's this like old cowboy guy living in a trailer. He's like a depression era dude, so he knows like the struggle. He knows the struggle is real. And it's just like he just his eyes felt so warm that he was like, I get to like treat these boys to an experience. These like 10-year-old boys, they're gonna love it. And even though I'm not gonna make any money on it, and then the mom is like so thankful. I just thought that was a really sweet moment.
You're definitely right. Like, while the buffalo itself pisses me off today and yesterday, I never really realized the gravity of that man letting them come in there on a discount. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't really think of anything of it when I was a child, but just being a person on a budget who wants to give my son the most experiences, but like not necessarily always having it. For that man to be like, "Oh, actually, today is free day and stuff," I teared up. I don't think that scene
I did too.
I don't even think that scene phased me when I was a child. I was just like, okay, here's a buffalo scene, moving on. But this time around, I was just like, that's wow. He's giving these kids a memory that they wouldn't have been able to afford, and now they can remember forever.
And the director pays like really close attention to that scene because like even when the scene is like coming to an end, they really sort of locking in on Elijah Wood's face to like this is a core memory for him. Like he's like really like paying attention to like this whole thing like transpiring. And I was like, man, this is like so cool. Oh, did
Yeah,
we lose Marina?
yeah, we did.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
She'll be back in a sec. Um, yeah, and then when the buffalo appeared in the dream, like the huge buffalo stuff.
Yeah, man. I guess like they didn't necessarily have to have more Buffalo in the movie, I guess, either, but I mean, I was fine with it. I know what they were trying to do. It was a kid's imagination and whatnot, and he was trying to have fun with his brother, and they were having like moments and whatnot. Um, but yeah, it was really sweet the way they put that whole like little segment together because it does sort of like prologue the entire film. You know, that moment, and it's some of the it's really honestly like some of the most kindness they get in the whole movie.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it was sweet. I like that moment a whole lot.
for sure, for sure. Well, I mean, I feel like you kind of dove in, but like, let's talk about favorite scenes.
Mhm.
Well,
Um,
favorite scenes we've just discussed.
Yeah, I thought we did just discuss it because mine was the football scene.
well, did we? I thought we did. Oh, we did favorite scene, favorite character. My bad, my bad.
Yeah, I think I already opened it up. I think Buffalo Bill honestly is my favorite character. I know it was a small part, but I really liked it.
That was his legit name.
I mean, it was called Buffalo Bill's viewing ranch or whatever it was called.
Like, isn't Buffalo Bill the one that says puts the lotion in his skin?
Wouldn't that be crazy if that was like, when you go to Vegas, like that Buffalo area? That'd be interesting if that was like a part of that or something, but I don't know. Don't quote me. Okay, so that's your favorite. What about you,
I
Steve?
think so. I mean, outside of Elijah Wood, who's just, I mean, they're all so good. But yeah, I think Elijah Wood is obviously, this is like his calling card when, like, his introduction to Hollywood, big time. Um, he can like a child can carry a movie, like that's huge, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Buffalo Bill, that kind of, I guess maybe I see a little bit of myself in Buffalo Bill too. It's just like I just want to make people happy, man. You know?
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I agree with Jason. Like, I'm Elijah Wood for sure, and again the cop dude. I think he killed it. I expected more from the mom. I'm not gonna lie.
The mom, she did a good job being a person that's a good person in a hard time. And it's 100% what it was. And another thing, I don't think I really like. Again, it keeps going back. I don't really think I understood the gravity of the narration. I think as a child, I was just like, stop talking, get back to the kids that I'm watching. But this time around, like, I remember when I was a kid and she took him back after jail,
Mhm.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
you weak mother fudger. But like as an adult, and they show those bills, and they showed this, and they showed that, I never realized how well they did at showing a woman between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
And you would think that like the safety of your children trumps everything. But I think like when it comes to the fact that you think that your children are going to be homeless because you can't do it alone, and hoping that this man has learned his lesson, like it like 'cause I don't but I think when I was a kid, I thought she just like was sexually attracted to him and choosing him because she wanted to be with him. I think that was my interpretation as a child. But this time around, I think she really wanted a partner and she didn't want to lose what she had. And she really genuinely thought that he was going to make a change
Because
because
his mom died.
huh? And that too. Like thinking and being empathetic towards his situation. So like she's definitely not my favorite character because no matter what the case is, she didn't protect those babies and it just pisses me off to this day. And she was just like, "Oh, he said he wasn't going to do this again. What's going on?" I still wanted to slap her, but I understood her more than I did when I was a child. My favorite character, which I'm super surprised no one else mentioned, our little boy getting beat the crap out of. I'm just kidding. Bobby. Like, whoa. Like, shout out to Jurassic Park kid. I didn't even realize until this time around that that was the same child from the original Jurassic Park. Like,
Great.
this kiddo has like acted in some like pivotal stuff. Like dinosaurs and child abuse, like 1990s wagon. Like he's like I would love to sit down and
He
talk
has been on the precipice of like the turning of the page of cinema. Honestly,
100%. Like I do feel like it was a very light
which he was
role.
great in this movie too. By the way, we didn't mention him, but he was.
Yeah, I mean he's my favorite. I understand why Elijah stands out, like, but like at the end of the day, like like just like ah it broke me in so many pieces because as a kid, was sad, but as an adult, I'm just like, "Whoa." Like, it's so crazy what children do when they love their parent. Even when things happen, he was just like, "Don't tell mom, because I don't want her to be sad." And I was just like, "Whoa." Like, that's 100%. Like and narcissist, abusive people, they tend to gravitate towards that kid. The kid that won't say much because he
Right.
doesn't wanna be a burden. He didn't wanna, "Mom's working so hard, I don't want her to know that the guy that she's with is doing this stuff." Like, and it's just like, it was really well done, like just playing the role of someone who's like going through it, but wanting to stay in good spirits for his family. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I mean, like I said, when I watched this as a child, I was so sad for him. But watching it as an adult, I was like, whoa, this is really deep. Like, how many children are going through mature situations that they shouldn't be going through, and they're still trying to make a peaceful environment for the people they love? Like, it was just so impactful for me. Like, so hands down, Bobby is my favorite character. For
Here's
Bobby.
why. Here's why. Like personally, I think like Bobby would have been even stronger if like this movie would have focused a little bit more on that and not on all the other shenanigans they had going on. In the sense of like, for example, one another thing I kept questioning to myself was like, why are these kids like the other minority kids going specifically, to their house and stuff like that and check on them? I'm like, are they gentrifying the neighborhood now and they're the rich kids and that's why they're going there because they don't have anything? Like, what's going on there? So it just started putting all these other things that really we didn't need to focus on that. And if we focus primarily on like what's going on in the house here, like it would have been, in my opinion, stronger, the movie.
So for me, again, I do think this was the first time I was just like, it's kind of weird that the bullies are not white. Oh yeah, it's weird. I think like in a lens where I didn't think about that, I was thinking more like they were getting bullied because they were the new guys. And like if the person that created this movie was trying to raise awareness on how abuse works, a lot of times kids that are going through something like that at home also attract bullies
Mm.
because like you create a hyper aware overcompensation personality where maybe you're trying to fit in with these people and they're like no, you suck. Like it's the weirdest thing in the world, but a lot of times people that aren't being treated well at home tend to attract scenarios where they're not being treated well. And
It's
so
true because they're vulnerable. They're a little bit sad, and people can pick up on that.
and Bobby's consistently trying not to get beat up. So he's
Mhm.
like, how is King feeling today? How do I make sure he's in a good mood? So then you take these nervous tendencies to school and then people also are mean to you. I just hate that it was majority minority. It's just a weird thing. I don't know what they thought they were doing there. I wish that it would have been different, but it's a good story to tell. I just feel like unfortunately the way it was made, you don't even think about it that way. You just think Hispanic people are gang, even when they're eight. And you know what I mean? And that's the agenda that was pushed a lot in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like you're gonna get bullied by a black guy or an essay, and that's exactly what they try to make you
And there's
feel.
going to be one white kid who shows up as the actual leader
And
to
it's
keep
just
all the minorities in line.
and I hate it because this is such a solid story, a little ahead of its time, but it's
Yeah.
real. It's a story that I appreciate so much, and I hate that it's kinda tainted by stereotypes. Like, I just can't there's so many 90s and early 2000s movies that I would love 10 times more if it didn't have some stereotypical bull crap in it, and
So
it
because it's kids, I wonder if it was malicious, like the casting and whatever. Like, yeah, let's make these bad guys minorities, or was it because this is a book? So what I was questioning was, it's like maybe this is what happened to this guy. Maybe he did move to like a predominantly like Latino neighborhood, and I mean kids are kids, and he got bullied by these kids who happened to be Latino, and that's just the story. I don't know, but I'd be curious to see what the writer said, or if this story is even true. But I think it's true.
Yeah, because for sure, it's a tale as old as time, right? Like a single mom, white woman, down on her luck, has to move to an area that's more affordable. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, the more affordable areas are where are ghetto, and that's where they try to push Latina people and Black people. They're just
and the
like,
Marshalls had just got evicted, and so the kids like our friend got kicked out because of you, and we're
yeah,
going to take it out on you.
yeah,
Also, also, if you see the scenes of the actual kids jumping the kids, not the football one, because that one's a little bit, I guess, more intense, but the one before that they're in the backyard or whatever,
Mhm.
like it's actually pretty funny. Like if you're not looking at it with the context of like like if you just look at it like how they choreographed this, it's like they could have done a better job.
I know. When I was a kid, I thought these were the fiercest, most intense gang bullies you'd ever seen. These children look so innocent
Yeah,
now. Like they just look like they're like we're having like an innocent bad day where they're just like, don't come in here, new person, and get on my turf. But growing up, I thought these were the worst of the worst. Like I was
yeah.
just, whoa, scary individuals.
Well, as
Like,
a kid, like I think they picked the right kids to like look a little bit scary, maybe. But as an adult, like they're all sweet little kids, and you're like, well, these are still little kids.
all look like the sweetest babies just acting now. And I think that's what kind of made me take a step back. Like, why are you booking these guys to be bad? Like, why does it have to be them? But as a kid, I don't even think, I honestly, as a child, I didn't see it as a race thing. I just saw it like new kids on the block. Already going through hard times, getting bullied by the locals. But I was just, I don't even think I noticed they were all predominantly Hispanic back then. 'Cause they don't even have them, like they don't even give him, like, that stereotypical voice.
Nope. They're
So
just kid
yeah,
voices.
it kind of gave me like Sandlot vibes. Where
Me
when
too.
I watched Sandlot as a child, I didn't even realize that like Benny was Hispanic. I didn't realize it. Like I just was just like watching it, but like yeah, it's pretty crazy and super
I didn't
unfortunate.
realize Benny was Hispanic until the final time I saw that movie, like as probably a, a very young adult.
Yeah, I didn't even get it. Like it was so whitewashed and you know, you don't see it, but it's like, dang, you really stereotyped stuff and everything. So I do wish as much as I do love this plot and the messaging because I don't think there's enough stories about child abuse. Because child abuse is a tricky situation, right? Whereas like a woman getting abused is a lot more straightforward, but child getting abused is very interesting, right? It's all perception. What do you think abuse is? What do you think discipline is? We all have different mindsets on how a child should be brought up. So this movie always stuck to me. And but so it was super unfortunate to have like some stereotype in there when I think the message itself was pretty good. But yeah, anything else that stands out that you guys want to talk about it?
Yeah, how does Elijah Wood grow up to become a Tom Hanks? Like, how does that happen? Like, they have close-up shots of
So
both
like
of them. Like, we
Who do you think
literally,
was attached to the movie first?
I don't know.
Like, you know,
What was Tom Hanks' career like at the time? So this movie
so
came out.
I was thinking about that when I first saw him. I was like, wait, this is '92. This is pre Forrest Gump. Like he's definitely like a movie star at this point because like he's done some pretty like the Bonfire of Vanities. I think has already come out. This is a pretty big year for Tom Hanks.
Well, I was cracking up because, like, not only when you look up this movie on IMDb, not only is Tom Hanks not on top cast,
Mhm.
Tom Hanks isn't credited in this film.
What?
It says older Mike uncredited. I was like, this is disrespectful. But like, I don't even know what happened here.
He
Like,
might have get for free.
who knows? But that's so freaking nuts. But what's crazy is Big came out in 1988. And I feel like
Yeah,
that was a good movie, but yeah, Philadelphia came out in '93 and Forrest Gump came out in '94. So I really think that like he was struggling to make a name for himself and just took this movie.
mm,
Like and then honestly, like speaking of like the first time I watched this to now, I don't even think I I recollect that that was Tom Hanks. I don't even think I like if I hadn't watched this today and you told me who played Elijah Wood as an adult, I would have been like, some guy. Uh,
so,
Tom, Tom Hanks? What?
yeah.
That's crazy. But he did a good job, but it just shows you, it was just pretty motivating. Like, whoa, sometimes you just got to be a narrator and have 4 scenes in a movie until you are a liar, until you are a castaway guy. You know what I mean? Like, just, uh,
So yeah, I mean, I guess he's not a full on like movie star in your face, but when Big came out, that was a pretty big movie, and
I,
I gotta think that everybody in Hollywood knew who Tom Hanks was after Big.
I got information.
okay.
So, why he wasn't credited? While his role is integral, he narrates the film. He has a minimal screen time, essentially a voiceover with a brief on-screen presence. This qualifies as a cameo rather than a full supporting role. Uh, industry discussion suggests that Hanks may have opted out of credit to avoid affecting billing hierarchy or his
Mm.
pay, especially helpful for a smaller film's budget. Some believe his participation was a friendly gesture. He likely allowed himself to be uncredited as a favor to director Richard Donner or writer David Mickey Evans.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. So, and then I'm also like reviewing it though, aside from Big, this pretty much was a turning point. He had like a lot of day player roles in things, but I mean, yeah, Big was a big one, but you know how it goes. Like, I mean, I don't know how it goes yet, but sometimes you do get something big, haha, no pun intended, and you don't get booked again.
Mm.
So I just feel like he hadn't booked anything where he was like the main character aside from Big yet. Like I'm just reviewing things. I'm looking over it now. Like
But there is a gap between the. I remember I said the Bonfire Vanities came out, and that was a huge flop. And I remember watching this little mini documentary about that because the book was such a big deal. And then the movie came out, and everybody in Hollywood wanted to do it, and they cast Tom Hanks and I think Meg Ryan, maybe I don't know, but it totally was just a crap show. The movie sucked, the direction sucked, and it's just like it flopped out. So yeah, he was probably having a hard time finding a job, and then Radio Flyer sort of came along, and then
yeah,
after Radio Flyer, his
well,
next one is Tales from the Crypt, but that same year he did A League of Their Own, and he's in top form in that movie.
yeah. And then Sleepless in Seattle. That is
Yep.
probably my first core memory of Tom Hanks. That's where I know Tom Hanks from. Like I like I love Sleepless in Seattle. It's one of my favorite love stories. We might have that on Cinema Club one day. And then Philadelphia, then Forrest Gump, Apollo 13. Like it was just like banger, 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 banger afterwards. So
Well, here's the problem. Big came out, really big movie. Tom Hanks is the star, and then he does Punchline, the stand-up comedy movie. Not that great.
yeah,
I liked it because I remember when I started doing stand-up. I'm like, wait, Tom Hanks played a stand-up in the movie. I'm gonna watch it. But The Burbs flop. Turner and Hooch. We had that on VHS in my house. Flop though, right? That's not a big movie. Joe versus the Volcano and Bonfire of the Vanities. Four
yeah,
flops in a row, and Hollywood was probably like, we don't know what to do with you.
yeah. Steve, did you ever watch? Did you ever watch Big?
Probably, yeah. It
I
wasn't really.
honestly, as much as Big had an impact on me, I don't feel like it's as popular as you think either. You know what I mean? I remember it like, kiddo puts a coin in the machine, wakes up and he's an adult. Very 13 going on 30 male
Yes.
edition. But honestly, I
Even
don't
very 13 going on 30. That one came first.
no, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I got
100%.
you.
Yes. But I don't hear a lot of people talk about Big though.
Yeah. For
So
me,
that
it's a core 80s film, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So even though that's popular, I still feel like it might have been a flop.
Yeah, it
And
was like kind of like one of those movies that, like, like some films that you just pop there and just put in the background, but you don't really pay that much attention to it.
yeah,
Like I remember the genie scene and stuff, but I remember not really going like, "Wow, this is a great movie." It was just like
yeah.
it's playing, so whatever.
Genie sing and piano scene. Dun, 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 dun. But no. So yeah. So that being said, it was super cool that they were able to get him in this movie because, like, it just was probably the beginning. Because, like, even like Home Alone, Dad. Like, what? When did Home Alone? What year did Home Alone come out in?
I want to say 92.
So they really caught a lot of people on the up and up to make this, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool to navigate. But yeah, um,
Lorraine Bracco, she was Tony Soprano's psychiatrist. It
ah,
seems like a huge gap between 92 and The Sopranos, but I think The Sopranos came out like in what, 96 or 98, right?
okay,
So she's just 4 years away from like the biggest role of her career.
and that's the mom.
Yeah.
Got it.
They
Got it. Got it.
caught Elijah Wood to the point that they're making us believe that it turns into a Tom Hanks.
You're
Real
never
talk.
gonna let them down. You're going.
No, no, how? Like this is worse than pro wrestling. Like, like you're telling us, you're lying us to our face. You're literally telling us. I don't even want to talk about that. I was about to say
Well,
I'm
something.
let's do some numbers real quick. So this movie was 35 million to make, which is like wow. Like I feel like this movie should have been a little bit cheaper, but then
That's
with
how
market
much. That's how much
35,
Elijah Wood cost to turn
that's how
into a
much
Tom
it
Hanks.
maybe
costs. Like
maybe it was the branding with Radio Flyer because that was
maybe they had to pay big money for the rights to Radio Flyer.
I legit one thing before you announce the numbers. I
Mhm.
legit thought like when they showed the radio flyer, I was like, "Don't tell me this whole movie is a big product placement. Please don't."
Just big old wagon.
35 million to make.
And
Crazy.
another 6 million on top of that to market the film. This is in 1992, mind you. So this is a $41 million production, and it flopped awful with a box office of 4.65 million. It
Wow.
made back like 10% of its budget. So just
Man,
another long stream of flops for Tom Hanks for some reason.
that's why that number at the end is out of service. I called it.
Mm.
So you telling me the abuse hotline's not working? Okay. Oh,
It
found.
probably stopped working immediately. They're like, we don't got any money left.
That's crazy. Like in my head, right? Like it's so funny how like our reality is our reality. I
Mhm.
loved this movie. And when I was younger, I put it in the VHS player, I rewound it, I watched it again and again and again as a kid. So to me, to know that this movie didn't do well is pretty crazy. Like
But
in
how
my
do you market a movie about child abuse?
yeah, it's tough.
A kid's movie, like essentially, I mean, it's a family film and it has all the tones and trappings of a family film. So kids are going to love it, but also, like, how do you market a sad movie about abuse and bullying?
Yeah.
Easy. Put Frodo little and turn into a Forrest Gump. That's how you do it. You make people
Maybe,
talk about it.
Yeah, but
but this thing caught its life on cable and VHS because everybody has seen it.
yeah,
That
and then maybe that's what I came because I mean, again, like at 6, 7 years old, I don't understand how a movie's doing, but it just felt like so great. I was
Yeah,
like, this is it. This is that movie. So to hear these numbers is kind of crushing. Like I really thought this was a banger. It's like,
listen,
maybe that's why it ended up on cable so fast. Maybe that's why I remember seeing it on cable right away because they're like, you know what? Just let's try to get some money back. Put this thing on cable.
yeah,
they
people
they
may
didn't
not like openly go to the theater, but maybe they'll watch in the privacy of their own home.
they didn't make their catering money back.
All right. I'm
They
trying
did.
to think. Is there anything else? Anything else we didn't touch on? We talked
Yeah,
about.
let's talk about that ending, okay? We got to talk
Oh,
about it.
okay. Yeah. So I'll
Talk
start.
about Buffalo.
I'll start. All right.
What do you
So
guys think?
first time I watched this movie, I genuinely believed he flew away.
Hmm.
I I was just like, yeah, they figured out the aerodynamics. They touched base with that kid at the gas station who told him when you get to the bottom, do whatever you need to do. Like I was a believer. I was so like he is going to be okay. And then I think when I watched it when I was like 11 or 12, I was like, "Oh shoot, that's ridiculous." Like he died, but the movie doesn't necessarily like give you any closure. Like the mom was just like, "What are you talking about? Where'd it go?" And then it jumps to when he's in college. And so I was just like, "Oh shoot." Like he died, who's sending the letters kind of thing. And as an adult, I think I was just more like he died and the mom and son just make light of it and they write these letters to each other. And that's that and it's the way they cope. But I think it was probably the deepest I've looked at it. She's so excited to see the letter. And you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it it's tough
I
to
still I still feel my personal belief is that they did not they literally put it like, oh, he flew and he's now somewhere. And they literally put it like that in the film because also we're in an era where like there's a lot of like happy endings. Okay, we gotta give you the happy ending. Also because of the subject matter of the film.
Kids
But
movie.
yeah, and all that. But
but
I personally think, if they didn't add that scene of the postcard, then I would have been okay with like, okay, he died. But the fact that they added that scene, it was just like, okay, I get what they're doing here and stuff, and I guess that's how the movie's gonna end. But personally, in my personal opinion, it would have been stronger without that postcard scene.
But that's why they do the Tom Hanks scene when he's talking to his kids and he says, "Mind you, and this is very serious, but just remember a story that you hear is from the best interpretation of the storyteller." And I think that was a strong hint to be like, this is the way I want to remember it, and this is the way I'm going to tell you the story. And I don't think I ever realized that when I was a kid watching it, because again, as a child, anytime Tom Hanks was on my screen at that airport with his children, I would fast forward it because I was so bored. I was like, get back to these kids that are escaping this monster. I don't care, but like just sitting back and really listening to the interpretation, he's talking to them about not breaking promises. Like it was actually pretty impactful what he was telling his children and aligning to story. And this is the first time I really noticed that he was just like, this is the end of my story, but just remember, I'm the storyteller and this is my interpretation and this is how I want
Also,
to.
also shout out to those kids that Tom Hanks has, because to listen to all that story in one sitting, I'll be like, shut the f up and get me on this plane or whatever we're doing here.
All right.
Like,
Okay, so that's a question. Maybe we can get to that just really quickly. Why does he sleep at the airport place? Like, why? The kids are playing, and then when the movie opens, Tom Hanks is just like nodding off. He's like dozing off.
because he's homeless. Uh,
Now I gotta go
They,
rewatch because
they,
I never really thought
they
about that
live at an airport runway.
either. I thought like they were just hanging out. Like he has custody of them on the weekends, so they go watch airplanes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's is that the airport where everything went down and they had a view of
I
I
don't know.
never
I mean,
really.
he's really in the airplanes. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they were visiting Uncle Bobby. But I always thought he wasn't around because we never see Uncle Bobby as an adult. It's like he's telling the story of Uncle Bobby, and he's like,
Uncle
well, I
Bobby
couldn't
is
tell.
dead. Are you guys kidding me? This he died. You and
No, I'm
Steve.
just saying. I mean, listen, I think he's gone too, but I think
He was
he's
like, why
telling the
didn't he go
story.
visit?
He's telling the story of Uncle Bobby to, Uncle Bobby's nephews, his sons. Like he goes, remember I told you guys about Uncle Bobby? Like, yeah, well, I couldn't tell you the whole thing, but I guess you're old enough now. I'll tell you the whole thing.
To
So,
know that he's dead.
in lieu of us only being three of us, uh, I decided to invite an AI bot to accompany us and give its opinion. No, but I did AI it. I did AI to see like does Bobby die in the movie? And AI says in the movie Radio Flyer, Bobby does not die. While the ending is open to interpretation, the most common understanding is that Bobby survives and sends postcards to his brother Mike from around the world. Some viewers interpret the ending differently, suggesting Bobby's fate is a metaphor for a tragic event. But the film's writer and many viewers believe he lives on. But the director decided to leave it ambiguous.
he didn't leave it ambiguous. Ambiguous will be like,
Bobby did not fly away in an airplane.
he did.
He didn't know.
In the film, he did.
The only
Yeah, but he was a 9-year-old boy. He didn't do that.
the only thing I could give it, right? The only thing I could give it is that Bobby gets hurt and then child services takes him away.
Mm,
Then he grows up and really does travel. That is the most I'm giving you guys. But in my real life, Bobby died and they just fast forward to the future.
So the
And
dog and the turtle died too.
I don't give a fudge about this turtle, Steve. And I don't, maybe the mother. I don't know who's sending them. I don't know if it's the mom sending it to herself or the son sending it to them. But one of them is sending postcards and they're pretending that Bobby is safe somewhere just for their own mental state. And that's what I believe.
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean,
So
that's fair enough. I think that's the way the director intended it to be. He wanted like these discussions to happen. I mean, it says that that was his intention to leave it ambiguous.
I think their intention was to recoup all the money they invested in this film.
Yeah, but they did not intend well because that did not happen.
it's all good.
But the writer says differently. The writer says he intended for Bobby to survive.
All right, writer.
See, and we all got to listen to the writer.
I don't know.
But the producers and directors they opted for a more ambiguous ending. So There you have it.
So
Well, on that
sorry.
note, on that note, we're gonna dive into our final thoughts. Let's go with Jason.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. That's like our new thing that's going to start coming across the screen with final thoughts.
Final.
Yeah. Okay. Final thought. This movie holds up. I would love to show this to my kids and other kids in the future. I think it's the real coming of age tale. It's sweet. It's a little dark, but I think it does. I think it does serve a pretty good purpose. Where maybe a kid who watches this, will have the courage to say, like, "Hey, look, someone's like touching me in a way I don't want to be touched, and it's not okay." So that's pretty cool. I think this movie holds up in that light, and I'm glad there was a number at the end because it at least makes you think as a person watching today, even though the number is probably defunct, makes you think like, oh yeah, we got to protect kids. Um, so that's cool. I think, like I said, all the acting is really good. I would recommend this to most people. I think it's a family movie, but I wouldn't want kids to watch it until they're like at least maybe 10 years old. I think it's an appropriate age where you could like have a conversation about it. But like Marina said, she saw when she was a little younger than that. And I think maybe I was around that age when I saw it. And I don't remember having any questions about this movie as a kid because you're just going to see what you see. You see kids having fun and, going on adventures and stuff. So that's like the main thing you focus on, I think, as a kid. The bullies and the other kids, I think, are the main things you focus on. But this movie, I think it sits. I think it sits well with me. I think it'll still connect with another generation. So that's who I would recommend it to: families and kids, um, and adults too. Honestly, if you want to watch it, I mean, I feel like we're all three of us. I mean, Steve and I don't have kids. Marina does. So I feel like it still touched all of us, in a pretty, impactful way. So there's a lot of people I would recommend this to. Would I watch it again? Yeah, I would absolutely watch it again. I would actually kind of like to watch it again, like down the road with kids, and I would like to hear their interpretations of it. To see what they say about it, and to see what like a modern group of children say about it. I mean, this does take place in the '60s, so I mean, there might be like some disconnect, but they're still kids doing kid stuff. So I know kids today are mostly on those tablets, and they're not out having adventures probably. But I would like to hear what new kids think about this. So yeah, this is a good movie, and it stands up for me.
Awesome. Steve?
My final thoughts. Okay. So if I'm going to watch a movie of this length of time, spoiler alert, it's a long movie, and it's going to try their hardest to make me believe that a young Elijah Wood is going to turn into Tom Hanks. And then you guys want to debate about whether Bobby died or stayed alive. Guess what, people? Guess what? Jason already told us what the writer intended. And I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler alert, Bobby doesn't die. Bobby actually grows up, finds a new family that teaches him the right way to join the Church of Scientology, and he
Oh
becomes
my God.
Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies. It makes sense.
It
That's why
does. It absolutely checks out.
it checks out.
Yep.
Hello. Hello.
Yep. He's
Google.
hanging from an airplane. Yeah, it does make sense. You're right.
It makes sense. He becomes Tom Cruise and he is straight up jumping through planes, becomes an incredible engineer, fights crime. It's crazy. But that's
Real talk.
this is the prequel of the Mission Impossible movies. And
Yeah,
you
when you
probably
put it that way, it does connect better for me now.
it does. It makes
No, Tom Hanks did a good job.
makes all the sense in the world. Anyway, final thoughts. Never seen this movie. I don't know if I'll see this movie again because it's not like I don't know. I don't want to me. It felt like a music video for child abuse from
Damn.
time to time, especially when they're showing the king silhouettes. So I was just like, okay, what kind of weird version of NTV2 is this? Um, and And yeah, it's not something that I will play in my background or I will just watch happily. Even though, Elijah Wood is was a cute kid, and I would never believe he turns into a Tom Hanks. That does not make any sense.
Let
Doesn't
it go.
Just
work.
Let it go.
I won't let it go. So that's my final thought.
All right.
Awesome. All right, my final thoughts. Pretty interesting to watch this again as an adult. I enjoyed it. Some things didn't age well, but overall, like the story, I think I'm really glad that it's been written. I'd recommend this to somebody that doesn't know Elijah Wood turned into Tom Hanks before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
show them a magic trick. But yeah, it's just a hidden gem movie when you're talking to people who want to watch something from the early 90s and they be like, "Oh, what's something that's come out that I hadn't seen?" According to these numbers Jason brought up, a lot of people didn't see it, so I'm probably recommending it to a lot of people who'd have an interest in a hidden gem. Um, would I watch it again? Yeah, it's really sad. So I mean, like, it's not going to be at the top of my list, but if it was on TV, I wouldn't mind. Like, I wouldn't mind rewatching. But yeah, but overall, that's it. I liked it, and I'm glad we were able to discuss it. I'm glad I was able to like dive into something that I have heavy nostalgia for with you guys.
Very cool. Very interesting pick. Okay. I guess that only leads me to ask Steve, what do you got for us next week?
Next week, I'm so glad you asked me because you already know that is your turn for
Oh,
cinema.
it is my turn. So then I'm going to select two movies and I'm going to let you guys duke it out over the one that you want. And if you both pick the same or a different flick, then I'll just opt in as tiebreaker. So the first movie that we are going to consider is Y tu Mama Tambien. Um, that's a movie. And then the second movie for us to consider is Dancer in stars Bjork and Y tu Mama Tambien stars uh, crap. I just forgot those two actors' names.
Are these both porn films?
Uh, well, one of them is. I guess maybe they both might be. I think Dancer in the Dark maybe in English. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Are we
So,
going?
on three, we're gonna go. One, two, three. What do we got? What do we got? Okay, we're both going. We're going. Y tu Mama Tambien is the selection for next week.
Yay.
Tu mamá también is the
All right,
selection. I'm, I'm,
awesome.
I'm popping it. I'm popping it in. I'm popping it in. There we go. Y tu mamá.
Woo.
Well, that's our pick for next week.
Let's go.
So
Lego.
for the Marina Love, Jason underscore Echoes. Me, Steve the Stevie will catch you next week. Bye bye. Elijah Wood doesn't turn into a Tom Hanks ever in life.